I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with a 3-minute cattle market update for Friday, November the 4th, brought to you in part by the International Brangus Breeders Association. Do you want structurally sound cattle? Unlike other breeds, Brangus breeders haven't chased fads or single trait selection, which negatively affects an animal's structural soundness. Consider going Brangus. For more information or to find a breeder near you, visit gobrangus.com. This fat cattle market's taking a breather this week. We talked the last time that really wasn't expecting to take a big bite of higher again this week on the fat cattle. We gained so much ground there a week ago, and it was great. And then they had a huge negotiated trade also, which give the packers quite a bit of cattle to go on there, and they really didn't need them as bad this week as they did last week, and it was just going to be tough to get higher money again. And I don't think we should be too disappointed that we didn't gain ground again in the market on the fat cattle. The feeder cattle market's up, and all the other fundamentals are pretty positive. So we've still got a healthy market here. Don't get down about it, because we can still gain ground here in the next few weeks. Look at the board, live cattle futures, December. Wednesday was down 15 cents, Thursday down $1.30. It was higher earlier in the week. End the day on Thursday with December at 104.07. And one thing you ought to notice on there, the out fronts way down the road were a little stronger than the nearby. So that also kind of gives the feeder cattle market a little boost there. Your feeder cattle board for the January contract, Wednesday was up 50 cents. Thursday was down 217, the end of the day on Thursday at 118.75. Your November spot feeder futures at 125.85. Talked about that fat cattle market. Everybody was wondering what we were going to really get done. We gained so much ground, nearly $5 on the weighted average a week ago, which was really strong, and going to be hard to get a whole lot more gain in this week. The market still had a lot of ruminating to do on what it gained last week, but they had that Fed Cattle Exchange, that online fat cattle auction there on Wednesday, and they PO'd half the cattle, and a lot of guys had stars in their eyes that were on there thinking they were going to get more than what was really out there, and they ended up selling some cattle. 106 was the extreme high, had some cattle 104, 105 right in there, but no big deals in there. And so everybody took that as a downer, and this online auction deal was always supposed to show so much competition and make the market better, but this week it just kind of came off with a negative connotation. The direct fat sold on Thursday there at 105, which was steady. There was a few live sales in Nebraska at 104, which could have been called a buck lower. Your dress market in the Northern Plains for the most part was 163, which was $1 lower, and had a few down to 162 in some places. But overall, not a bad market. Probably not a huge movement either, but we're staying current. We're keeping up. You look at that. We talked about that online auction. Let's talk about a live fat cattle auction. Look at Cattle Market Central there, and look at the Tama, Iowa, and several ringfuls there of fat steers in Tama sold on Wednesday there at 105.10 to $108. So yeah, when you have an auction and you've got competition, people bidding against each other, it's a good thing. It's not a novel idea. We've known that's the best way to market cattle for a long time, and we probably should continue to do that. Talking about staying current, look at our actual dressed weights. This Thursday come out with a 2-week delay there, but it was exactly the same as the week before. So maybe we're starting to get to the top of those weights on the dress basis. 915 pounds, which is a pretty dang big carcass if you look over the history of the world. But it's not nearly as big as last year, and it has stopped gaining, so maybe it'll start heading the other way, and that's going to be a real strong notation that we've started to get current on these fat cattle. But cash feeders, El Reno, Oklahoma had 8,000 head on Wednesday. Government market report called feeders $3 to $7 higher, calves 6 to 10 higher, with some of those lightweight weaned wheaty type calves that are going to be turned out on wheat, 12 to 15 bucks higher. And then that is true. There's a big demand for these lightweight, mostly full weight and steers predominantly to turn out on wheat, but they've sure enough got to be weaned. These guys want to turn their wheat cattle out November the 15th. If they don't have them put together and they don't have some cattle straightened up already on there, those cattle are sure enough got to be weaned and through some kind of a preconditioned program. Some of the guys that think they're really good cowboys can turn cattle out on wheat that are not preconditioned or haven't been in some type of a starter yard there for 30 days or more. But nobody's a good enough cowboy to put cattle together, especially ballers, and turn them out on wheat and think that they're going to get along, because about all they're going to get done is trying to rope and doctor one out there. Most of those wheat pastures are just farmland. They got no facilities on them unless you bring some panels in or something like that. They got no windbreak. They've got really nothing. They're just a thin, slick wire for electric to keep them in and weed out there. But so you've really got some cattle that have to have some cattle that are tough enough to go and stay on their own to do that. But if you look at the Cattle Market Central market report out of El Reno, maybe USDA was a little liberal on their call there. The automated market report doesn't show to be quite as high and not as wild as what they called it there on Wednesday, but still sure enough higher, but off a good market. Some other markets I looked at on Cattle Market Central for Thursday showed Pratt was moderately higher, $3 to $5 on most weights, but actually Salina, Kansas was unevenly steady. So we may be about to moderate for a while and then take a little breath on this feeder cattle market too. But check out dvauction.com and go on there, especially on Monday. Virginia Cattlemen's Association's got a tele-auction on Monday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern. They're going to have 34 pot loads of cattle on there. Now, don't be thinking negative connotation just because these cattle are way east of the Mississippi River. Now, there's going to be the right kind, a lot better quality cattle than what you see predominantly in the Southern Plains. They'll be very, very good cattle. They look more like cattle from Nebraska than they will anything else, and they'll be 95% black hided, and the balance will be black nose Charolais. So really some going cattle, all long time weaned, all preconditioned, all have their shots, all be grouped in load lots and be peas in a pod when you get them. But especially you guys in the Eastern Corn Belt, if you need some cattle to feed after you got done here with harvest, don't miss this sale at 6 o'clock Eastern on DV Auction, Virginia Cattlemen's Association tele-auction. That's 3 minutes, and we'll talk to you next week.